Are you ready to dream on? Do you know how to fly high and soar among the clouds? Get ready to live adventurously because the Laura Meeks Show starts now. Listen as Laura lifts you off the ground while teaching you how to fly high. Forget ground-level drama and be prepared to confront your dreams head-on as she encourages you to navigate towards your North Star and into what just might be the best life you've imagined. Dream on. Live adventurously on The Laura Meeks Show.
Meeks Show. A couple things I want to chat about before I introduce Kim, our guest. First of all, here's a couple of interesting things. One was I have this coffee cup. I don't know if you can see there's like a little bee on it. And one of the things I thought was kind of funny is within my teaching, and Kim, I'm sure you agree with this, that a lot of what we talk about is being the person that you imagine you would be so that you can come into the world and vibrate at that frequency. So I went into the coffee. So I'm a real fan of coffee and coffee mugs. I have hundreds. And I opened my coffee cup mug closet above my coffee maker. And I said, I wonder who I'm going to be today. And then I saw this cup. I'll be a bee. That's it. That's the perfect cup for today, for who we want to be during this pandemic. The other thing I wanted to say is I did a video on Facebook, but I'll share it with you today. One of the things I think is really kind of interesting as a kind of a focus of the information that's coming into you as you're going through this pandemic. There are kind of two versions. One is you can watch the news, and if you watch the news, you're probably nearly freaking out. If you watch more than about 30 or 40 minutes of that, you're sure that that's crawling in your front door. That's not. I highly recommend like using your will and will yourself to 15 minutes or 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes at night, so you don't freak out. But the other counterpoint that I think is so, and it just struck me as I was watching TV, is that on normal channels, it's as if nothing was going on that was any different. The same car commercials, the plumbers there, come on, we'll come out and do your plumbing, and the McCallum Theater here in Palm Desert, best season ever, come see and I'm just like, come see the show. We're in the middle of a pandemic. What are you talking about? So it struck me as really kind of something to think about as you go through your week, is to think about the information that's coming in and what does that say to you. Now, in some regard, I think it's good in that it kind of makes you feel less freaked out. But on the other hand, I'm thinking, man, here's people eating in restaurants and they're doing all these things that we normally would do. And after about a half an hour, I'm thinking, I think I'm going to run down to the mall. Wait a sec, I can't run down to the mall. This is not today. This is not a today thing. So it just struck me as interesting, and I'll be interested to see if other people have that going. So before we get started, let's do a little deep breath. If that's not a practice that you have, you need to add that to your list of things to do. That's a great way to get started. So we got a great show for you today. I want to introduce Kim. Kim Luret is, and you're going to hear all the details, so I'm just going to give you the shortened version. Like a lot of people in my age, around this age, we have had a number of careers and a number of experiences in our life. And Kim started out in the modeling world, and there's a lot behind that whole little story. But since then, she has gone on to do a number of other things, to include using her experience and her wisdom, right, to help other people. And she's got some offers that we'll talk about as we get down to the first break. But with that, Kim, you can add to your introduction if you'd like to. Am I getting close?
It was very close, Laura. In all transparency, I should say that I began my my working career first as a babysitter, then as a dog walker and a car washer, and selling.
I was an exterior maintenance engineer.
Okay.
We called that a lawnmower. We learned as early as kids, we learned that when your dad comes home and he's, what do? You know him as the guy that runs a car wash, but they would come up with some, exterior cleaning and examiner.
Right. Anyway, it was the part that we're here to really, I guess, start off at is the modeling. I
think there's a lot to, you and I have chatted obviously beforehand. There are a lot of interesting pieces, and I guess kind of the piece that I would like you to start out with is kind of where you were when the idea of modeling came up, and there was a certain resistance.
Yes.
I think that's a really important piece for people to understand. I liken this to when people say you were an overnight success. It's like I was. It only took me 20 years to be an overnight success. And it's that modeling just didn't. You just didn't walk out the door and go, "Ooh, hey, I got to be a model."
No.
Tell us about how that came into your head, and then how you finally got into it.
Yeah, it literally dropped into my mind because up until then, I had never considered that possibility to be a model. And I grew up tall, skinny, and extremely awkward, extremely shy, and not confident at all. And so I'm taller than all my girlfriends, but also almost all the guys in every school class I was going through, right?
That makes a fun junior high dance thing, where the guys like down here.
Oh, yeah. Anyway. So
I'm tall as well, so I get it.
Yeah, exactly. So just to say that there was nothing in the land of form and circumstance that would ever have led me to believe that I could be a model. And even more interestingly, I never considered it. It wasn't on my radar at all. But one day I'm in the grocery store waiting for my mother to finish, and I'm flipping through a fashion magazine, just killing time. And I literally heard a voice speak to me. And that alone was quite jarring and confusing. And it wasn't a thought. It was different. It was a voice which said, "This is what you're going to do one day." And it was a double shock. First to hear a voice, and then it would tell me that, because really all my school life from maybe 10 years old on was just being teased. I had a few friends, but really mostly being teased because I was so tall, so skinny, the freckles, the wild hair. Oh yeah, braces and a headgear for several years.
Real ambiance to this.
That's how I entered high school.
A kid with the headgear. Oh my God.
Are those even legal anymore? I don't know, but that's what I was going on with me in the land of form and circumstance when I heard that voice. And I was so mortified by that, even the thought of it, that I just refused it. I threw the magazine down and I didn't entertain it for a long, long time. But it didn't go away. And it was years, though, before I really, it was actually a few years, and then I heard that voice again. And by this time, I had gone into college, and I had, started taking courses that were interesting to me, but there was this dream alive in me to be a model. It made no sense to me at all. I had no idea the first step to take. But one time I was in an apartment where I was sharing with a roommate, Nadine. She was very beautiful, very sexy, the very typical, description of what a beautiful, attractive young woman is. Again, pretty much the opposite of me. And she was going to check out a modeling school because she had an interest.
Yeah.
I had a dream.
You're like, what?
Yeah, she had an interest, but I had a dream. And she said to me, "Do you want to, Kim," she's making this appointment on the phone with the modeling school. "Do you want to come with me to go check it out?" And I said no, because I had this knee-jerk paradigm running me that said, "Who do you think you are?" really, Kim? I mean, look at you. And I said, no. And then I heard the voice the second time in my life and it said, Kim, only you can make your dreams come true. And that really woke me up. And I just said, okay, make an appointment for me.
Now, what was your reaction? I mean, that, first of all, I think I've had a number of people on my show, and a couple of shows ago, a friend of mine, Brian, was talking about the fact that he had a voice in his head that was telling him, these are the things that I see for you coming in the future. And very much like you, it was tangible. Now, I have had in what I would call intuition. I've had some very strong dreams. Those that know my background, my flying career took 16 years to get from the kid looking up at the airplane in the field out in Minnesota to the time that I was graduating from pilot training was 16 years. That was a really powerful dream. And I too, I had the inspiration that, like, when I would see that, it was just like, yes, that's where I'm going. That's the thing I'm going to do. Not necessarily quite a voice. So I think for the listeners is that information can come into your awareness in 1,000 different ways. But from our discussion, I have to say I'm always intrigued when you actually get like hear this voice, because all of a sudden you're in the supermarket. It's like, what?
I know.
It's like,
I know.
Did you hear that? Did I?
It's the truth. I'm just telling it like it is. I have had, like all of us, lots of ideas, intuitive hits, thoughts, but this was different. I mean, it has happened to me again since. Those were the first 2 times. I mean, maybe 5 times in my life. But you make a great point. People don't have to sit and wait for a voice to speak to them because the voice is waiting. Whatever reason, it came through in this way. But Gandhi said the voice for truth is speaking to each one of us every day and is as loud as our willingness to listen.
See, I really think that is so true, is that everybody that I've talked to, I think the people who I would talk to that say, well, I really don't have any connection to that, or that's never happened to me, is kind of like, well, yeah, that's because you're like, and there's, and the input's coming in, but it's, you're watching, binge watching TV, and it's just you're not hearing it amongst.
You're not available. It's written in scripture, be still and know I am God. It's a very short sentence, but it's so powerful. It's telling us to stop, to be there, to be present, and to be available.
Well, so let's jump a little ahead. So you have this. She goes off to modeling school. You're like,
no. She didn't go off to modeling school. She made an appointment to go check it out.
Oh, okay. So
because those things cost money, and but she was pretty, and everybody was saying, "Oh, you're so pretty," and so she had interest. I had a dream. So we both went. She was like, yeah, looks good. Yeah, okay, thanks. And me, I'm like, I feel like I'm like, oh, wow, this is it. Because I had no idea in my mind, what's the first step? I had no idea. It was pre-internet. So,
There's a time when we didn't have it. Do you know that there are kids today that have grown up and never knew there was not an internet?
Yeah.
I'm talking to my son, who was he was in high school when it all started. And so he said, I'm kind of in this weird category with my friends and my coworkers. Like I kind of knew it just before, and then I grew up as it was building.
Right.
Versus, us.
Yeah, it's such, again, I'm reminded when Jesus said, why do you marvel? Don't you know that you will do the things I do and greater things still? And the internet is a great example of that. It's like just through the evolution of humankind, the things we are.
So take us forward a little. When did you actually connect to modeling? and start modeling?
Well, as I said, I was like amazed just to be in that modeling school. And as we were leaving, the woman pulled me aside and she said, Kim, whether you join this school or not, you really should pursue modeling. And that was the first time I had any exterior validation that this, I wasn't crazy, that there was something to this. And it's really interesting, and as a coach, Laura, the power of someone believing in you when it's hard to believe for yourself, right? And that woman who knew more about the business than I did, for sure, telling me that really encouraged me to move forward. And so I did join that modeling school. And let me just say, it's really true, when there's a will, there's a way, because that school was very expensive. For me, at that time, it was very expensive. And I was already in a full-time job, and I could only go there on nights and weekends. But anyway, that's a whole nother story about that. But I did do that school. And what happened was, it was like a 10-month program. And at the end of it all, they had this gala show where people came from all the houses. They combined two schools. There's like, a special dinner and you do a show and many, many people. And I won the thing called Model of the Year. And it so happened that there were some agents there from San Francisco. And that was the big city for me, because I was in a smaller town, and some other agents. Anyway, it started like that. The guy, after it was over, he pulled me aside, this big agent from San Francisco, and he backstage, and he said to me, where did you learn to walk like that? And I said,
on the farm.
Because the truth is, I had practiced, according to the way the school taught us, this whole silly little choreography. But when I got on the runway, I just allowed spirit to move through me. And something, I don't know what I did actually, but when I came out of it, people were standing and applauding. So the guy asked me after, how did you learn? I said, I don't know.
I don't know what happened.
I've never done it before, but I moved to San Francisco, etc., then to Milan, then to Paris. But I just want to make it a point there for our listeners, because, if we're going to give credence to the part of us that will say, well, who do you think you are? No one else is telling you can do this. And in this particular example, you never walked on a runway before. You just, who do you think you are? We really want to be giving first priority to that, whether it's a voice or an intuition or just a movement inside of us, because it knows things we don't know.
I'm going to capture a piece that you and I talked about before, because I think this is also really cool. One of the things that you talked about earlier today was the paradigms. We grow up and we're trained by our parents and our teachers, our mentors, and honestly, we are little freaky sponges that are just soaking up. This is the way the world works.
Right.
That's kind of that has a huge part of where we are. But there was, correct me if I'm wrong, there was a time where you confessed to your mother, hey, I'm a model, and what were her words?
Right. I had this like, announcement that this is the work you're going to do later. And it wouldn't go away. And I just kept wondering what it was, what to do with it. So I got up the courage to tell my mother. I said, you know what? I'm maybe, 15 or 16. And I said, you know what, Mom, I think I want to be a model. I still see where we were standing. And she said, a model? Who do you think you are? What makes you think you're so special? And I don't even know what I said. I was probably it already took so much courage even to say those words. I don't know what I said, but I know what I thought. I thought, I don't think I'm special. I don't. It's not my idea. See, we're connected to source. It knows all that we're capable of and what we truly, our real worth and our real potential.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things that I find, and this is one of the stumbling blocks going down the road, is you build an incredible vision. My vision was flying, and although my mom was very much like, I'll help you, but we don't have any money. Kind of like modeling. It's for me to go flight school was like I'm earning $1 an hour mowing lawns, and I needed like $1,200. It's like, and I thought, okay, I can do that this summer. Not adding up $1,200 is like if I worked 8 hours a day, that it didn't even occur to me that I couldn't mow that much grass in the summer.
It was a good thing that it didn't occur to you, because it allowed you to move forward, to take this.
Absolutely. And so that part of the challenge of growing up is there's kind of that balance. You had the one person that came to you and said, I think you should really do this. And that fills your head with, oh my God, I think I could do it. I've had people say, you're gonna do great at this flying thing. And I walk around, oh man, this is gonna be great. But I also had a stepfather who said, like, we one day we flew into a downtown airport. Now I'm in an airplane with my instructor, and we flew into a control towered airport with him. And I came back home and told my dad, God, it was great. We went from this airport to this downtown airport, and I can't believe that your instructor would let you ever fly over houses. You could kill somebody. And I'm thinking, kill somebody? I'm with a freaking instructor. I mean, it's not like I'm going to wrestle him to the ground to kill this, but the challenge of dream stealing is they don't know they're trying to steal your dream, but it can't. And this is part of the thing. You have to kind of harden yourself and be careful who you share this with. And kind of the piece I want to get to, because we're coming up on a break, and I want to talk about your giveaway before we get out of time. But this is an important piece, I think, for everybody to think about. You get inspired, whether it's a voice in your head or a thought or a vision or I feel good when I do that is sometimes just enough to get you to move that way. But getting that down in your head is to, okay, yes, I'm committing to going that way. And then guarding, this is like your little egg. You got to guard that thing, because people are going to try to tip it out of your hand. And it's very easy for somebody who you love, your parents, your best friend says, oh man, who do you think you are? It's like, oh yeah, you're right. Okay, give that up. I'll do something else. It's like,
no, it's an excellent point. I mean, in fact, I moved out from home like at 17 and went to college and in another state, but I never told my parents that I was pursuing this dream. Yeah. And they only found out when I invited them to that gala dinner. And
let me pause you there for a second. We'll come back. This is one of the challenges of the radio. We're going over the break. And one of the things that everybody needs to know is Kim is a life coach, and she wants to share some of her talent with you. And so somewhere, somehow, if tell them your offer, tell them what you would like them to have and how they can get.
Yeah. Well, so I, like you, Laura, we have busy schedules, and I also make available a few times in a month some what I call complimentary discovery sessions, where we speak together with a person one-on-one and help them get clarity on their dream, get clarity on where they are, where they want to go, and what's holding them back, and some next steps they can take to start living that dream. And so I'm offering to your listeners here, for the first 5 people that send me an email with discovery in the subject line, one of those complimentary sessions. And that email is kim@kimluret.com, which is KIM@KIMLURET.com. And I'd also like to invite all the listeners. I'll be having a free webinar about standing firm while the world is shaking, about, as you said, how to be in this pandemic. So
I feel it. We're in California. This thing shakes all the time. We just had an earthquake.
Anyone interested is welcome to email me there. And
okay, well, everybody, this is we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Kim has got a lot. We haven't really even gotten to the part where she's wearing these $10,000 dresses, and then there's a lot of other things that have happened. That was a long time ago.
$100,000 dresses.
100,000. Imagine that. And there's a story that goes behind that. So when we come back to the Laura Meeks Show, we will share that story. So hang tight, stay with us. It's a good day to be on the radio. This is Laura Meeks, and we are on the Laura Meeks Show.
Have you ever wondered how you might feel differently if the books were full of her instead of him? What if your history lesson was filled with powerful women leaders and rulers? As a woman, would you feel more empowered? As a man, would you see women differently? I'm Megan Edge. I'd love for you to join me on my radio show, Playing on the Edge, Radical Change with Ease, with my co-host, Dr. Pat, on Transformation Talk Radio. I hope to see you there.
We remember a time when you could simply form a thought and it would manifest. The harmony was forgotten, but it is returning now. The Power of Inspiration and Awakening Radio with Juliet Griffin on TransformationTalkRadio.com each second and fourth Wednesday at 9 a.m. Pacific will take you on adventures through the heart and spirit, exploring who we once were. This intuitive healer studied under the guidance of wolves, learning from their wisdom to master a higher frequency for a new state of mind. Visit OneTrueSelf.com.
Yeah, yippee skippy to that, baby. We're not done yet. Some of us are out here to educate and inspire. This year, 2020, is the year we gotta show me the money in the cash flow. I'm Dr. Pat. This is the Dr. Pat Show. This is Talk Radio to Thrive By.
Visit thedrpatshow.com. It's time to shake out your money-making truth on Soul Wisdom Abundance with Jennifer Bloom, creating wealth from spiritual health on TransformationTalkRadio.com. This hit show is more than your roadmap to success. It's your compass to abundance through joy and ease. Jennifer Bloom teaches you about the soul's relationship to money and wealth, and how improving that relationship serves both you and the world. Learn more at jenniferbloom.com.
Living a richly abundant life sound too good to be true? Listen in to Richly Abundant Women with Julie Steelman on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Embrace a vibrant future of breaking free financially and creating a richly abundant life filled with prosperity and growth. To learn more about Julie Steelman and Richly Abundant Women, visit www.juliesteelman.com.
For stimulating conversation and keys that will change your life, tune in to Dynamic Destiny with Coach Pete every first and third Wednesday at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Join Pete to get clarity for your calling and practical wisdom for results. For more about Coach Pete, visit PeteCoaching.com. That's PETE Coaching.com.
Laura Meeks. Welcome back to the Laura Meeks Show. We're just after the break. This is where, in my lingo, fly high. So we dream on, we fly high, and we live adventurously. That's how I do life.
All right.
And we are here with Kim Luret. Had experience in the modeling world, but has done much more than that, and now is helping a lot of people with her coaching practice. Before the break, Kim, you and I were talking about, you had gone through this, you got the voice, and you got this idea, you kind of got a taste of the modeling school, you went to modeling school, and then that started kind of a path for you to go into the modeling world. And part of where I'm leading to is it did go into some pretty high-end modeling. And I think as we're talking about building a dream and building a vision, and we're going to talk a little bit more about what it takes to keep that alive, but kind of catch us up to the end, where when you were really in Paris doing this thing, what was that like? Share the joy of what that's like.
I mean, okay, we're skipping a lot of steps, but I mean, when I was there, I was just pinching myself. I feel like I've won the lottery. I was aware that I was actually living my dream, and be sure to know that it wasn't always a bed of roses. It required a lot, I mean, you have to be the thing you say you want to have. Otherwise you're not a match and you don't connect. And any successful career is going to require many things, But like they say, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. I loved it. And it was great. I mean, I met so many great people. I met so many interesting, famous people and not famous. And what I learned a lot in that.
Well, and tell them who you were working with. I mean, you were
my first job. Okay, I started. I did I don't even remember. I got myself. It's another show, Laura. But I got myself. I got myself to Milan, Italy, and I worked there with Mr. Versace himself. He was such a sweet man, and Fendi and Missoni and many famous designers there. And you know what? I don't remember how it happened. Oh yeah, an agent saw me. An agent from Paris saw me on the runway shows there, and had me go to Paris. My first job was in the cabine, in the atelier of the designer of Christian Dior. I didn't even know who Christian Dior was.
His name.
Anyway, and so my job was to be the model. We were about 4 of us, I think, there doing this job. It's called a mannequin de cabine. And so he literally makes these one-of-a-kind garments on you. And you're to inspire him, right? And ideas. And then anyway, a collection is created. And then you are part of the cadre of models to do the runway show and do the photos and do the TV and things like that. So that was my first job. I didn't even know at the time who Christian Dior was, and I would soon figure it out.
Well, I'm not sure I would recognize him if he showed up, but unless somebody introduced me.
I remembered when they offered me the job, the agency sent me to do this audition, and the woman who was the assistant to design said, so I think, we're going to hire you to do this. You're going to come every day for 6 months and do this and that. And then I said to her, trying to let her down gently, oh, thank you so much. It's very nice. But the reason I left my full-time job in California was because I don't want to come every day to the same place. So I don't think that I'm going to be able to accept, but thank you so much. And she looked at me like I was insane. And then I went back to the planet. Then I went back to the agency because we didn't have cell phones, just to check in. And they sat me down and said, darling, we must talk to you.
Maybe you didn't understand where you were.
This is Christian Dior. You must do this. And I was like, oh, but I don't want to go every day. No, you must. Okay. So I did. And I'm really glad I did. It was an amazing experience. And it did launch my career. But I learned so much.
One of the things that you mentioned to me, and I want to kind of get you to this spot is that here's this girl from California who grew up feeling tall and kind of unmodel-like material. You go
very much unlike.
All of a sudden you're in the modeling world, and then now you're walking down the runway in a dress that's $100,000, and you made a comment to me about you had to get out of I'm just a girl.
Well, I'll take you there. Yeah, backstage. They made this collection. These dresses are one of a kind. They will never be worn by 2 women in the world. One will be made and sold to one person. So, and every stitch is done by hand. So anyway, backstage, they're dressing me, in this amazing black gown, beaded, and it was really incredible. And this is the first show. And somehow it was mentioned to me by the woman dressing me, something about, oh, well, don't put your heel through this. It's $100,000 or something like that. And I was like, what? I didn't even know that existed.
Their dresses.
Garment at that. And this is going way back, by the way, as well. So I started to panic. A part of me, the paradigm started to collapse and say, who do you think you are? What are you doing here?
That comes back.
It does.
Get it off.
But I'm so thankful that I got an idea. And I said, I don't know what I'm supposed to do in a dress like this, but I can imagine who I can be in a dress like this. And so I became, in my mind, this is all happening real fast, but I became, who would buy and wear a dress like this and where would she go? So suddenly now I'm walking down the runway and I'm stepping onto my yacht. Or I'm, a chauffeur is opening the door as I go up the red carpet to the opera. Different things like that. I took the focus of what am I supposed to do to who am I becoming? And it worked.
Well, and tie that, because that is a hugely important piece of what we're talking about. This is the who do you want to be cup. Is that you, and I have to say, this is so true in my life too. As a young guy trying to get into flying, I had to imagine that I was this pilot, that I had to be that pilot. In fact, a quick story. One of the first times that I really felt like, oh my God, I've really done it now, is I was on my first solo cross country. So I had to fly from my airport to another airport to a third airport and then back. So the third airport, so I'm in Minnesota. So I went out west of Minneapolis and then down to Iowa to Mason City and then back. So when I got to Mason City, it's a smaller town, but a really big airport. And so I parked my little Piper right in front of the little fence. And then there's a gate. And on the gate, it says, pilots only past this point. I'm going through. I'm a pilot. It's like, I thought, that's it. I'm a pilot. I can go through this gate. But that's so much. So talking about, somebody is coaching with you and they have a dream, you have to get them to be.
Yeah, right. We say you literally cannot get to the dream. You must come from it. And it mirrors back what I didn't know this quote when I was a model, but I was an unconscious competent. I connected with it and figured it out. When Johann von Goethe said, before you can do something, you must first be something. In other words, we have to be it before we see it in our life. And that is, I think we touched earlier on perhaps about being a match to the thing you want to be. So often people believe it works like this. When I have the thing I want, then I'll do the things required, and then I'm going to be the person living a wonderful life. And I'm going to be
to put that into kind of specific words, that if I go to med school and I graduate and I do all the residencies, then I will get a white coat, and then I'll be a doctor, and then I get all the rewards of being a doctor. Right. Then I am that.
Right.
And
start backwards.
Yeah. Well, I use this in my practice. Is we're out near Hollywood, and there's a zillion actors, and they're all working up until recently at Starbucks or some restaurant. So if I were in a restaurant and I asked the waiter, "Who are you?" there are two possible answers. One is I'm a waiter, and I'm hoping to get into the movies. The other answer, the better answer for me, is I'm an actor temporarily working in a restaurant because he or she is being an actor while they're doing this other thing called waiting on tables.
Right.
For me, I spent 6 years as a navigator, but I never thought of myself as a navigator. I was a pilot doing navigator duties until I can get into pilot training.
Yeah.
Which is how, how you have to kind of.
It's the real formula is be, do, have. So, I mean, in my mind, I'm a model, right? I'm seeing myself as a model. The self-image is key to everything. So that's why I couldn't even entertain the idea that, oh, I will be a model. I couldn't accept that idea and then that started to change through the help of a coach. I'll call that woman maybe my first coach.
Yeah.
We said, I think you should do this. Then if we see ourselves as the person we want to become in advance, being it the best we can, we start taking those actions. We think the thoughts of that person. We make the choices that person would do, and we take their actions. And then we have that life.
Yeah, well, and I've heard and used this. You have to come from your dream. My interpretation of that is, part of our paradigm is academic. I mean, we kind of grew up at least I did, in an industrial school environment. So that meant that you do the schoolwork, you do your homework, you take the test, you get an A. Now you're an A student. So it's kind of like you do this and then you get that. So that kind of translates into, well, I'm going to, someday I'm going to be a doctor. So I'm going to go to the schools, or I'm going to go to flight training, and I'm going to, do all the work. And then when they pin my wings on, then I'm a pilot. But kind of as our study has gone along is you're absolutely right. You have to be the actor in the restaurant, being an actor. You have to see yourself as an actor doing waiter or waitressing work.
That's not who you are. It's what you're doing.
Getting ready. You're a pilot getting the background I need because I am a pilot or I am a model.
Right.
And it's interesting. One of the things that you pointed out, and I'm always amazed in my life too, unconscious competent. I had no one to tell me how to build to get a dream, to be inspired, to do a dream, to hold on to that for 16 years and finally accomplish that. I just, stumbled into it, and maybe I absorbed it from all the things that I had learned. But again, I think that the value of listening to us on the show or to working with a coach is that people can do this and do all the time on their own. It's not a genius thing, but it sure goes a lot faster if somebody explains to you.
It goes a lot faster, Laura, but also when when you have someone who has, who's higher up the ladder of awareness than you are yourself, they can show you, tools, skills, principles that you didn't know. And when you learn them and work with someone who helps you overcome the part of you that doesn't believe you can, or overcome the part of you that wants to stay stuck, because we all have that part. When you really overcome that, then those become your own. And you don't do it by accident anymore. You do it on a repeated basis, consciously.
Yeah.
So that's the value of learning these principles and working with someone who can help you see your own blind spots, because none of us can. And that, like they say, it's hard to see the picture when you're the one in the frame.
Yeah. Well, and that was kind of my feeling too, is that, when I'm working with people, early into the show, you're talking about, well, who do I think I am? And since we'd already had some discussion, I'm thinking, oh, I know where that came from. I know where that came from. But you don't hear yourself saying it because it's part of your internal paradigm, and those tapes are just running in your head, and they're just, in my world, I call that being on autopilot. Your autopilot was programmed long, long ago, and you're rolling down the road, and you may not even see you may not hear yourself saying, "Oh, I could never do that." It's like, right. Hey, if I'm flying with you, it's like, hey, did you hear what you just said? It's like, did you just say that? And this is fun, especially when we're with other coaches and people who are aware. Is that you'll be chatting along and they'll go, whoa, did you hear what you just said? It's like, did I say that? And it's like, I did.
And then, Laura, the tool we give them is those 3 magic words.
Up until now.
Up until now, I may have thought it wasn't possible for me, but now, and then they get to fill in their blanks because they're the ones who get to decide.
Well, and those are the kind of the advantages of being with people who do have a higher awareness is that, being around those kind of people, they're typically very encouraging. They understand the process. They understand how easy it is for you to drop the egg and, oops.
Because we've been there. Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the essence, Kim, of having this discussion is that you've been there. I mean, we've only talked so far about your modeling career, but that wasn't your whole life. There's a lot of life experiences that are there that you're having, and I assure you, I'm still having. Yeah. I'm learning incredible lessons every week, but it's helping you become self-aware and getting the tools, like you say, up until now. Mm-hmm. That's a pattern breaker, so that your mind and your body can go, okay, I get it. We're changing. It's like, oh, yeah, I'm coming.
Yeah, and as you probably heard, I'm sure that quote that says, "No wind is favorable to the sailor without a destination in mind." So if we are not living, not trying to get to a vision, but from a vision, if we're not living from a vision, something that of our own creation, that's our blueprint. It's both our map and our compass to tell us who we want to become. And that's going to dictate the choices that we make and the actions we take. Then we're just going in circles, living by.
Well, and one of the things I found interesting in my studies is that if you're in a boat and you in a boat and you just sail out into the ocean thinking, okay, I'm going to hit England from New York, eventually you're going to find yourself back in New York. It's just naturally you just drive in a circle.
The gravitational pull, the pull of the time.
I mean, it's just the Coriolis effect and the currents, and then next thing you know, you think you've been going straight, and hey, here's London. It's like, oh, it's New York. What? I'm back. So that's the power of a dream, is it keeps steering you. That, and again, in my world, autopilot keeps the power of the autopilot is you program in the destination, your vision of where you want to go, and every second or two, it goes, oh, you're off a little here, you're off a little there, and it keeps steering you back. Wow. Yeah. Now, one of the things that you had mentioned, I want to talk to you before we get, because it's almost over. One of the things that we were talking, you had mentioned to me, well, there are a couple of things. One is that you had a voice, you had a vision, you had a dream. Your roommate didn't. She wanted to do this. You had a dream. Yeah. Tell me about what it takes to keep that dream alive. Because, I did you and I have talked 16 years from the time I decided to where I was actually graduating from pilot training. There's a lot of time in there where people were, trying to steal it and grab it. And I'm like, no, I'm going this way. So what for you? What would you tell people who are like, well, yeah, I kind of got excited, but then it died?
I guess the first thing I would do would be to really ask them some questions so that they know for themselves if it's a true dream. Because if it's a true dream, I don't believe it will ever die. I believe a true dream chooses us. And I believe that it is always there waiting for our willingness. Now, I think a lot of dreams die when a person dies, but I don't think that
is kind of the end of it,
Yeah, but they're not going to, if it's a true dream, it's not just going to, frizzle out. It won't come to life, however, and really, it's like a seed, you plant a seed and it has all the potential to become, let's say, an acorn. You know, every acorn can become an oak tree, but not every acorn will, because it requires yourself. It requires an investment of yourself. You have to plant the seed. You have to nourish the seed. You have to care for it. Maybe put a little fence around it. So as you were talking about, the crows don't come and, you know, dig it up.
They're coming.
No, it's so first, the first step would be to really get in touch with, is it a true dream? And the core question there is, what would you love? Really, if you knew for sure whatever you dream of is going to work out, you don't consider the how for now. Just what would that be? What would you love? And when a person is really connected, this is what I help people with in the discovery session that I talked about, that I'm giving away some of these.
It's a secret always. Like, no, we're fine.
What?
You're good. You're good. I was saying there's no secret to the discovery thing. This is, so tell them what you would do.
No, but this is part of it. It's to help them really get clear. They need a destination in mind, or you're just circling. And sometimes the circles get so big you don't even know you're in them.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that you had mentioned, and it was true for me as well, is 15-year-old, I look up and I see the airplane go over, and I think to myself, that's definitely what I want to do. But then I, rode my bike and did all the other stuff. And then it comes back. It's like, oh, yeah, I see it on TV. It's like, oh, that's right. That is the thing that I want to do. And then it comes back, and then it comes back. And for me, one of the things that I found that was important was to keep adding fuel and like you say, it's a seed. So you need to keep watering. You got to, I went out to the airport all the time. I rode my bike 10 miles out to sit at the fence and watch airplanes take off like that. What's the fun of that? It's like, for me, it was incredible fun. And so there's this thing that you have to kind of be engaged with. You can't just like, well, someday I'm going to be a doctor and then just,
right. No,
it's like,
no, it doesn't work that way. You have to, you can have whatever you're willing to become, but becoming it is a whole nother story. That's what a coach is great for, helping someone.
Well, that is a great transition because we're just about out of time. And so what I want to reinforce is that you are a life coach. You have made an offer to the first 5 people that email you with the discovery in the subject line,
and to everyone who would love to take part in this free webinar about standing firm when the world is shaking in early May. That's going to happen. They can also email me at kim@kimluret.com.
Okay, perfect. Well, and with that, I just remind everybody that there is a world out there. It is big time different, and for a lot of people right now, this is a very challenging time. This is a good time. Since you're sitting at home, people often say, "Well, man, I'm bored witless. I'm at home." It's like, how can you? Man, I'm busier than a rabbit out here with all the things that I want to do. But this is a great time to stop, to think, take stock of where you are, figure out what your dream is, and make a plan so that when we go back, then you'll be ready to go. And you can do that by connecting with Kim and her free offer. So that's all we have for today in the Laura Meeks Show. Remember, dream on, fly high, live adventurously. We'll take the balloon to the altitude. That's how we do it here. This is Laura Meeks wishing you the greatest week ahead. Have a good week and be safe.
You've been listening to the Laura Meeks Show. Dream on, fly high, live adventurously on Transformation Talk Radio. Thank you for tuning in. And we hope you'll join us next month as Laura helps you find your unique gifts so you can bring them to the world. For more information on Laura Meeks or to listen to past shows, visit her website at flyhighliving.com. Check out her hit Dream On 12-week course where you get the personal attention you need to fly high in your new life.